Hi everyone, I'm Rebecca Virginia, and today I have brand new Valentine's Day DIYs to share with you. These are all great for any last minute Valentine's DIYs that you want to add to your home to add a little bit of that color and Valentine's Day cheer. We're going to start off first with this wreath. It might look complicated, but it's actually super easy. Just took a little bit of time to make, but the actual process was very simple. The wreath form is from the Dollar Tree. It's a 14-inch circle wreath form, and I used 2 spools of each kinds of the ribbon, also from the Dollar Tree. Then I cut the spools of ribbon into 8-inch strips before dovetailing the ends. I did a similar wreath using this bunching technique of the ribbons about 2 years ago for the fall, and the 2 spools of ribbon were just enough to cover the wreath. But this time I actually had quite a few bunches, I believe about 6 or 8 left over. So maybe these ribbons were just a little bit more full, or I've gotten better at fluffing the ribbons because I didn't need quite as much, but I did buy 2 spools of each of the kinds. To create the bunches, you're just going to pinch them in the center and then just start making X's. Really, it's very simple. It's kind of similar to how you would make an X bow. For most of them, I used zip ties, but then I ran out of the zip ties, so I went in with some jute and just tied everything off at the end. And I left some excess jute hanging because I am going to be using that to actually adhere these bunches to our wire wreath frame. Because I thought I might actually run out of the ribbon bunches, I started by adhering 1 bunch to each of the crossbars. I believe there are 6 on this frame. And then in between each of those 2, I was going to add 2 more bunches. For, again, that fall DIY, I'll insert a picture. Maybe I just didn't fluff the ribbons enough. I ended up needing to add about 4 and in some cases 5 bunches. But this was perfect, just putting 1 on each of the crossbars and then that in-between section adding 2 more ribbon bunches, and it was very full. I think possibly why is before I added the ribbon bunches to the wire, I did fluff them out and make them as large as they could be, whereas usually with the fall one, I would just add everything onto the wreath form and then fluff it later. So I think you will end up saving some ribbon this way. Again, I had about 8 bunches left over. While I was watching a TV show, I made the bunches, so I was kind of kicking myself that I already cut the ribbon because I did end up having some left over, but that's okay. I'll just cut the zip ties and use it for something else. I found this Love Galvanized sign in the Valentine's Day section at Dollar Tree, so I'm going to use that for kind of the centerpiece through the wreath, and then I had some of this nautical rope, which of course I also picked up at the Dollar Tree, and that is going to be what is hanging our sign up. If you watched last week's video, I did a bunch of faux Valentine's Day sweets. I'll link that above. I worked really hard on it and I really like how they turned out. So I had a bunch of these artificial cherries left over and I thought they added a really nice touch to this wreath. So I placed 3 of them throughout it and then hot glued down our Love Galvanized sign. I know last week's video was all about the sweets, but this craft has been on my to complete DIY list for about 3 years now, and I couldn't let another Valentine's Day go by without completing the gumball machine DIY. I've seen it all over Pinterest. It was super popular a couple of years ago, but I've always wanted to do it, and I had a bunch of pretty much just like scrap items from the Christmas season left behind. This is a glass jar that I picked up at Costco. It had some desserts in it, so I just washed that out and I used that with some pink paint. And then with the red paint, this is a plastic container from the Dollar Tree, kind of like something that you would put to-go sauces in. It had a lid, and that is going to be the bubblegum bottom for our smaller bubblegum ball machine. Wow, that's a lot of bubble. And for the larger one, I used one of the ornaments from, of course, the Christmas time from Dollar Tree and filled it with some of the conversation hearts. That's going to go again on that bigger glass frame. To cover up where the ornament is, I had some really pretty heart ribbon that I picked up this season actually from the Dollar Tree. So that's going to cover that up. And then for our smaller one, you guys already know I love these sprinkles. They'll be linked down below yet again. I filled up a smaller clear ornament and filled that with a bunch of the sprinkles, and that one's going to go on our smaller plastic base. And then instead of using ribbon for this one, I needed something a little bit more sturdy, so I grabbed some pink cardstock, and that is what is going around the top of the smaller clear ornament. Next, super simple, I added a bit of hot glue to adhere our ornaments onto their bases. And then for the gumball machine slot where you would put in your money and, get your candy, I am using a tab from, I believe it was some energy drinks and a Poppy. And for the bottom section, since that would be the space where the candy is actually coming out, I went in with a black Sharpie and just colored that in black so it looks a little bit more like an illusion, like the candy would actually come out of there. I love these and I'm so happy that I can finally check them off on my Valentine's Day craft to-do list. These next couple candle DIYs are perfect if you are in a pinch. Maybe you found out that you are hosting Valentine's Day or just want to spruce up your home a little bit. These are really simple and insanely quick ways to turn your home into Valentine's Day. So starting with these Dollar Tree candles and the clear bases, really simple. You're just going to pick up some pretty ribbon. This I've had in my collection for years. I think it might have actually been on a Christmas present since it's red and white, but it's perfect for Valentine's Day. So I added some of that onto one, and then I love this chiffon ribbon. It just reminds me of ballet slippers, and so I added this one on too. Adding some ribbons onto really anything, especially in these colors, is going to create a really simple and easy Valentine's Day look. I also love these candles. You can't quite see them in this video, but they are textured. They had lines running through them, which I think just adds a little bit of a classier feel and definitely very girly. Next, if you want a little bit more of a DIY, you can pick up some red candlesticks from the Dollar Tree and give them a makeover. I am going in with some white paint and my daughter tool and creating some paint hearts. I just did 2 dots and then pretty much just connected them in a V. These are just going to be for show. I'm not going to be lighting these besides really quickly to show you. So I know that they make wax paint. So if you're really going to be using these as candles, you can use that, but they're pretty pricey and I'm honestly just using this for decor. So I didn't want to add more Valentine's Day supplies to my collection, but just to let you know, there are wax paints out there. So if you are going to be using these candles, you might want to use that because of course the paint will be dangerous. I only did this for a very quick shot to put in the video. I thought this paper bow was the perfect centerpiece for your plate if you are hosting a Valentine's Day, or if you're just someone who has a formal dining room that is always plated. This is something really nice to add. It's a pop of color and a really simple way to bring the Valentine's Day spirit into your home. So you're going to take a piece of paper, mine was in 8x11, and you're going to fold the bottom right hand over onto the left hand side, and then take some scissors and cut off that excess. Then when you open it up, it looks like a kite and you're going to fold it. Let's see, what is that? Hamburger or hot dog style? I'm not sure, but you're going to fold it down. So then when you open it back up, it's going to be a grid. Grab your scissors again and cut along the fold lines all the way to the center. But of course, make sure to not cut all the way through. Otherwise, it is all going to fall apart. Pick one of your triangles and cut upward so you have a rectangular piece. Then on the triangle section directly across from what you just cut, you are going to cut up along the sides. This is going to be the tails of the bow. Then you'll want to grab your hot glue gun and move on to your side triangles. Add a little bit of hot glue and then fold up your triangle, and this is going to create the bow section of your bow, the bunny ears of the bow. Once you're done with that, do the exact same thing to the other triangle. Then the V section or the tails of the bow, you are going to flip under, and then that long rectangular piece is what's going to be kind of like that pretty button on the bow. So you will wrap that around and then add a little bit of hot glue to keep everything in place. I'm going to show you guys this one more time, sped up, just in case you missed anything. I've seen this all over Instagram. The particular creator that I am following is Cherish Larson. She does not have a YouTube channel, but she does have an Instagram. She always does really fun crafts. So I am following her tutorial on this one and I really love how it came out, but I know there's lots of other creators who have kind of similar DIYs and stuff that they have done on Instagram. I've seen some people make napkins into bows, which I think is super cute, but I did not have napkins the correct size. Mine were too much of a perfect square, so I couldn't do that one, but there's lots of really fun stuff to find on Instagram. So shameless plug, make sure you're following me if you haven't already on Instagram. I'm at RebeccaVirginiaDIY. I also have it linked down below. In addition to crafts, my husband and I are in the process of building our home. So I have lots of home construction posts coming up there. So if any of that interests you, make sure to give me a follow down below. Another little hosting DIY that I wanted to add on to this one is making your own napkin ring holder. You can pick up these wood circles in the Crafter Square section of the Dollar Tree, and then they always have lots of different wood cutouts for the different holidays and seasons. So I picked one of these pink hearts and just hot glued it onto our napkin ring. So if you didn't want to do a paper craft and wanted to keep things a little bit more simple, you can always do that DIY instead. Last DIY for today's video is a shabby chic one. I always love the shabby chic style. It doesn't exactly go with my house, so sometimes I hesitate to actually make them, but I do really like the way that it looks, and for Valentine's Day, I think you can always add something like that in your home. So I'm taking one of the large wood conversation hearts from the Dollar Tree and then sticking on one of these peel and stick tiles that you can also pick up at the Dollar Tree and using my X-Acto knife to cut out the heart shape. Then I went over the entire heart with my favorite red paint. It is Crimson by Waverly. Then I set that aside to dry. Next, to really make sure that that really beautiful texture of the wallpaper was showing through on the heart, I went over it just lightly brushing with some white paint. I wanted to add that shabby chic element into this DIY, so I thought nothing would be better than some lace. So I picked up this lace heart ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to be wrapping this around the heart. The frame I picked up, I believe, from either Temu or Amazon, but I know that you can actually make these molds. I think they sell them at Hobby Lobby and you can use clay. I did not have that, so I am just going to be using this, and I also had some paper that had kind of looked like an old love letter with a flower on it, so I placed that inside of our frame and then hot glued that down, as well as that lace ribbon. The gold frame was looking way too shiny and new, so much like I did to the red heart, I went in with some white paint. This one is called Cashew by Waverly, and just distressed all the way around the frame. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite, and if you start decorating for Valentine's Day yet. It is really coming up kind of out of nowhere. I felt like January lasted forever, and now February is already here. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, keep searching, keep creating.